Adrenaline is the fight-or-flight hormone. It's supposed to turn us into superhumans, but for one man, it acted like a sleeping pill. This is the story of a burglar who broke into a house full of valuables, saw a soft couch, and decided the heist could wait. He was found asleep at the scene of the crime. And it wasn't about stupidity. It was about a strange glitch in our nervous system that can happen to anyone. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your brain is your biggest traitor. Adrenaline is like rocket fuel, but if you pour too much too quickly into an engine, you can just flood it. The engine won't roar to life, it will stall. We always hear about fight or flight, but we forget the third and strangest stress response, freeze. And sometimes freeze means fall asleep. A dark night. A quiet suburban house. Our protagonist, let's call him Mark, had prepared meticulously. The window gave way easily. Inside, it was silent. A laptop on the table, a collection of watches on a shelf. Adrenaline is pulsing in his ears so intensely that he experiences auditory exclusion, a phenomenon where the brain filters out all extraneous sounds except the most critical ones. He can't hear the ticking of the clocks or the hum of the refrigerator, only the beat of his own heart. He is the director of his own heist, but he's about to forget his most important line. His film is about to switch genres from a thriller to an absurd comedy. Mark walks through the living room, and his eyes fall on the couch, large, leather, inviting. Suddenly, a wave of fatigue washes over him. Not just drowsiness, but a physical, almost paralyzing urge to lie down. He thinks, just 5 minutes. I'll just close my eyes for 5 minutes to gather my strength. This was his critical mistake. This fatigue isn't just a whim, it's a chemical imperative. Adenosine, a substance that creates sleep pressure, has built up in his brain. Every minute he's awake, more of it accumulates. His willpower is a battery at 1%. The sight of the couch is the plug-in charger notification, after which the system performs an emergency shutdown. This wasn't just a mistake. It was a coup d'etat inside his head. His rational brain, the prefrontal cortex, was overthrown by the ancient, impulsive limbic system. Logic screamed, rob. Instinct screamed, run. But a third unexpected conspirator, exhaustion, called a nap time for everyone. To find the answer, we need to fast forward a few hours. The homeowners return. They see the slightly ajar door, and their hearts sink. They enter quietly, expecting the worst, wreckage, missing items, broken windows. But instead of chaos, they find order. And on their couch, curled up peacefully, is a sleeping stranger. He's even snoring softly. The initial shock gives way to complete bewilderment. They are experiencing classic cognitive dissonance. This is when the brain tries to reconcile two incompatible ideas. There is a dangerous criminal in my house, and the dangerous criminal is drooling on my pillow. It's like finding a shark in your bathtub, but it's wearing a shower cap and humming a tune. The threat is obvious, but the situation is so absurd it's paralyzing. The 911 call breaks every template. Hello, 911, there's a burglar in our house. He's asleep. The dispatcher asks them to repeat it 3 times, thinking it's a prank call. The patrol officers rushing to the scene discuss the strangest call of their careers over the radio. In the police code, a 211 means robbery. It always implies tension, danger, adrenaline. But there's no code in their protocols for a 211 ZZZ. For the dispatcher, this call is like a system error. The incoming data doesn't match any existing scripts. The officers enter the house, weapons drawn, and they see the scene. One of them approaches and gently nudges Mark's shoulder. Sir, wake up. Police. Mark opens his eyes. His face is a mask of pure disorientation. He doesn't know where he is or why people in uniform are staring at him. His first words aren't, I surrender. His first words are, what time is it? His reaction isn't stupidity, it's pure physiology. He's in a state of sleep inertia. It's like a hangover from deep sleep when the brain hasn't fully booted up. His question, what time is a classic sign. The parts of the brain responsible for orientation in time and space are the last to wake up. His brain is a computer that has just been turned on, but the operating system hasn't loaded yet. And here the mystery deepens. After the arrest, one of the officers asked Mark, "Kid, are you on something? Alcohol? Drugs?" And Mark, in a completely sober and clear voice, replied, "No, I'm just really tired." This answer didn't satisfy the police, and it shouldn't satisfy us either. According to research from the University of New South Wales, after 18 hours without sleep, a person's cognitive abilities decline to a level equivalent to a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. In other words, he could have been drunk on fatigue. But even drunk people instinctively try to escape. He fell asleep. This is something more than just tiredness. This is a classic case for applying Occam's razor, the principle that states the simplest explanation is most likely the correct one. In forensics, it's often said, when you hear hoofbeats, think of horses, not zebras. And a drunk or sedated burglar, that's the most common horse in this scenario. So naturally, Mark was given a toxicology test. Everyone expected the result to simply confirm the obvious, but the result was shocking. There was nothing in his blood. No alcohol, no drugs, not even strong sedatives. He was completely clean. This negative result is a true plot twist. It's as if a detective novel revealed that the murder weapon was a cloud. It discards the only rational theory and forces the investigators, and us, to look for a completely irrational explanation. Stop for a second. Think of the most inappropriate moment you've ever felt sleepy. An important meeting? A boring lecture? Now imagine your freedom was on the line. Have you ever felt stress paradoxically caused not alertness, but an overwhelming fatigue? That feeling is the key to our mystery. It's called stress-induced somnolence. It's your brain's emergency power-saving mode. When too many applications are running at once, fear, adrenaline, situational analysis, planning, the system starts forcibly closing the most energy-intensive processes. And sometimes, the first to be shut down is consciousness. We checked Mark's chemistry for foreign substances and found nothing. So it's time to open up the case and look at the hardware. The problem isn't in the code. It's a short circuit on the motherboard of his brain. The prime suspect here is the prefrontal cortex. This is the CEO of our brain. It's responsible for planning, self-control, and decision-making. But chronic stress and fatigue flood it with the hormone cortisol, and cortisol acts like a poison to it. Imagine 1,000 urgent reports landing on the CEO's desk at once. Instead of sorting through them, he just says, "That's it, I'm on vacation." He turns off his phone and leaves, and the whole company, the body, grinds to a halt. This isn't just a shutdown. It's the launch of an ancient, almost forgotten survival program. This phenomenon is called tonic immobility. It's the freeze response taken to its absolute extreme. Essentially, Mark's brain ran a program written for a rabbit that sees a hawk. The danger is too great, so the best option is to play dead. It's a biological ghost in the machine, an ancient code that activated under the completely inappropriate conditions of the modern world. This collapse wasn't instantaneous. It happened gradually, second by second. Mark was likely experiencing microsleeps, uncontrollable episodes of sleep lasting from a fraction of a second to 10 seconds. Studies in the journal Nature have shown that in sleep-deprived rats, individual groups of neurons literally fall asleep while the animal remains awake. Microsleeps are like the lights flickering in a house during a power surge. The main power is still on, but individual rooms are plunged into darkness for a second. Mark's brain was flickering the whole time, and the couch, it just flipped the main breaker. Let's rate our theories on a scale of absurdity. The "he was on drugs" theory, 2 out of 10, debunked. The "he's just an idiot" theory, 5 out of 10, plausible but doesn't explain the physiology. The brain hit the emergency brake due to overload theory, 9 out of 10. It sounds strange, but it fully explains what happened. It gets 9 points because it relies on a fundamental law of biology, homeostasis. The brain desperately tries to maintain stability. Sleep isn't an option, it's a requirement, and if you ignore that requirement, the brain sends in a collector, a homeostatic drive for sleep that is impossible to resist. So what really happened? Mark had likely not slept for several nights prior, feeling nervous and preparing. This created a massive sleep debt. Breaking into the house caused an extreme level of stress and cognitive load. His brain, faced with this perfect storm, chose neither fight nor flight. It chose freeze and sleep. Imagine a Jenga tower. Sleep deprivation is a few blocks pulled from the bottom, the stress of the break-in. A couple more from the middle, the cognitive load of assessing the situation. Another one. His brain was that shaky tower. And the couch, it wasn't another block being pulled out. It was just a gentle breeze that caused the whole structure to collapse. But this collapsed structure isn't one of a kind. Mark is not unique. He's just the newest member of a very strange club, one you get into without your consent. This club includes pilots, surgeons, and soldiers, all those whose brains once decided that self-preservation was more important than the task at hand. And our burglar is perhaps the most ridiculous, but also the most illustrative exhibit in this collection. There are hundreds of documented cases of soldiers falling asleep for a few seconds right in the middle of a firefight. This isn't cowardice. It isn't weakness. It's the brain, pushed to its absolute limit by noise, fear, and fatigue, forcibly going offline to avoid burning out. Historian S.L.A. Marshall, in his book Men Against Fire, described how soldiers in World War II would fall asleep right under artillery fire. And during the Falklands War, British soldiers reported the phenomenon of automatic behavior. They would wake up to find they had continued firing and reloading their weapons in a sleep-like state. Their bodies were working. Their consciousness was off. This same mechanism is at work on any monotonous highway. You've surely heard about microsleeping at the wheel. A driver zones out for 3 seconds. In that time, their car travels over 3 feet blindly. It's the same glitch that our burglar experienced, just with different scenery and far more tragic consequences. According to the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety, 1 in 6 fatal accidents in the U.S. is related to driver drowsiness. A 4-second microsleep at 55 miles per hour is like driving the length of a football field blindfolded. You are no longer a driver, you are a passenger in an unguided missile. All these cases are united by 3 factors. First, sleep deprivation and already accumulated debt. Second, sensory overload, as in combat, or conversely sensory deprivation, like on a dark highway. Third, a high level of stress, which floods the system with cortisol. Let's call it the shutdown triangle. It's like the combination to a safe. You need all 3 numbers: sleep debt, stress, and cognitive overload. When all 3 align, the lock of consciousness opens and you fall out of reality. Our burglar hit the jackpot. So was Mark the dumbest burglar in history? No. He was a man whose brain played a cruel and very vivid prank on him. His story isn't a joke. It's a demonstration of how fragile our nervous system is and how little control we actually have over it. That night, Mark wasn't the pilot of his own body. He was a passenger in the back seat. He watched in horror as his ancient instincts and exhausted brain seized the controls and steered the plane straight into a bed. His story is a reminder. We are merely tenants in our own bodies, and the brain always reserves the right to evict us. How can you avoid becoming Mark? How can you avoid becoming a victim of your own brain at a critical moment? Here is a 3-point self-defense protocol. Think of your brain like a smartphone. First, charge it every night. Remember, 18 hours of wakefulness reduces its performance to the equivalent of a 0.05% blood alcohol level. Second, pay attention to the notifications, tunnel vision, slowed thoughts, heavy eyelids. This isn't just fatigue, it's a low battery system message. And third, don't be surprised if after ignoring the first 2 points, your brain simply shuts down at the most critical moment to protect its motherboard from overheating. So, after everything you've learned, let's return to the main question. Was our burglar's story more of a unique medical anomaly he couldn't control, or was it an extreme case of foolishness and lack of preparation? We want your opinion. Write just one word in the comments: anomaly or foolishness. Let's see which one gets more votes. Let's rephrase the question. Was it a hardware failure or a user error? Before you answer, know this. In the legal systems of some countries, there is a concept called automatism. It's a state in which a person is not held responsible for their actions due to, for example, extreme exhaustion. So your choice even has legal weight. Anomaly or foolishness? We're waiting for your comments.